It was a cold evening when you sat in your childhood bedroom, starting off the windows, arms crossed as you thought about the man you were trying to forget. The sky had darkened and the streets outside were slowly emptying when the storm in your heart was still ringing. For weeks you had been hitting at your parents' house after you had another fight with Jungkook. This time you promised yourself you were done. There was no going back, no more chances. The constant ties, the controlling behavior, the way he thought he owned you, it had pushed you too far. You signed frustration as your phone buzzed for what seems like the heart that time, that day, the screen lit up with his name Jungkook. His messages and missed calls had been relentlessly, but you had ignored every single one. You could not face him again, and not after everything. Throwing your phone aside, you got up on your bed trying to shake off the overwhelming emotions that were suffocating you. But deep down, a part of you knew you could not run from him forever. He always had a way of finding you. Suddenly, a knock on your door interrupted your thoughts. You sat up, crying, and your mother pecked her head inside. Mother softly, when someone hears to see you. You heard singing immediately. You did not need to ask who it was. The look on your mother's face told you everything. Why, Nancy? Yes, tell him I am not here. I don't want to see him. Your mother hesitated, but her brow fraying in concern. Mother, why? I tried, but he's already inside. A chill ran down your spine. Before you could respond, you heard a heavy footstep approaching. The door creaked open, and there he was, Jungkook. He stood there filling the doorway with his imposing figure, his face a mix of anger and determination. Dressed in all black with his leather jacket slung over his shoulders, he looked ever but the dangerous man you had tried to escape. Jungkook voiced low bursts, locked with frustration. You thought you could just leave me. Vance felt hard standing up from the bed, meeting his gaze with as much defiance as you could muster. Fine, Collie, I did not leave. I took a break from your insanity. Jungkook stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. His dark eyes never left yours, and the tension in the air was suffocating. Jungkook was steady yet threatening. You are not over, and you don't get to decide when this ends. You crossed your arm, refusing to back down, even though your heart was racing. When I already did. You don't control me anymore, Jungkook. I am done with you. His jaw clenched, his eyes flashing with a dangerous intensity. Jungkook stepping closer. Is that what you think? That you can just walk away? Like nothing ever happened between us. Your anger flared, your passion with him wearing thin. Finally, you made it easy for me after everything you had done. I have every right to leave. Jungkook's expression darkness in a split second. He grabbed your wrist, pulling you towards him with a force that knocking the air out of your lungs. Jungkook crawling your mind wine, and you don't get to walk away from me. Your breath hitched as his words echoes in your ears. You struggle against his hold, your frustration boiling over wine, yelling, "Let me go, Jungkook. I'm not yours anymore." But Jacob was not listening. In one swift motion, he threw you over his shoulder like you winning nothing despite your Protestant fantastic kicks. You responded against his back, but it did not faze him when screaming, "Jacob, stop! You can't just do this. You are insane." As your parents shouted from the stairs, their voice filled with fear, Jungkook carried you through the hallway and joined these chairs. Your mother trying to intervene, but your father held her back too, terrified of controlling him. Jungkook grip on your tighten as he carried you outside. Jersey blacks were sweating in the driveway. You continue to trash in his arms, desperate to free yourself. While I'm panicking, Jungkook, please just stop. I don't want to be with you anymore. He said nothing as he shoved you into the backseat of the sun, slamming the door behind you. You screamed to open it, but it was locked from the outside. Jungkook got into the driver's seat. His voice called, You can scream all you want. No one's going to stop me. She banged on the window in frustration, tears picking at your eyes. How had it come to this? How had the man you once loved turned into a nightmare? The drive was tense. The only sound in the car was your heavy breathing and the hum of the engine. You sat in the back seat. Glaring at Jungkook through the rearview mirror, his expression was unbreakable, but his eyes were dark, and you could see the storm brewing inside him. While measuring visually, I should have known better than to trust you. Jungkook's hands tightly around the steering wheels, his knuckles turning white. His jaw clamped, but he did not respond right away. After a long push, his voice came out, cold and calm. Jungkook, you think you can just leave me when wrong? You are not done when shouting, tears of frustration streaming down your face. You don't own me. You can't decide what I do with my life. I am not your property, Jungkook. Jungkook abruptly pulled the car to the side of the road, slamming on the brakes so hard that you jolted forward in your seat. Before you could react, he was out of the car, yanking the back door open, his hand wrapped around your arms, pulling you out of the car with an iron grip. Jungkook, his voice low but filled with rage. You think I can't control you? That you can just walk away from me? He pressed you against the car, his body inches from yours, his breath hot against your skin. Your heart raced as you looked up at him, fierce, mingling with anger. While breathing heavily, you are already lost me, Jungkook. This is not love, it's control. For a moment, his eyes softened as his shivers had struck his nerve, but just as quickly the hardness returned and the leaning closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook softly, I can't lose you. I want you. Shook your head, tears spilling over as you pushed against his chest. When pleading, Jungkook, please, you are hurting me. This is not the way to fix things. He skipped losing slightly and his steps back, running a heart through his hair. His frustration, he looked lost, conflicted, as if he did not know how to handle the situation. Jungkook's expression sank into his voice. Fine, I love you. I'm trying, but you keep pushing me away. Fine, so because you keep hurting me, you can't treat me like this and expect me to stay. She wiped up your tears, turning away from him as your emotions threatened to overwhelm you. Jungkook stood there, watching you with a mixture of pain and anger in his eyes for a moment. Neither of you spoke. The silence between you, heavy and suffocating. When you arrived at the mansion, the tension was unbearable. Jungkook dragged you inside, the grip on your arm firm, but not as harsh as before. The great empty hall of his home felt cold and distant, just like the man who lived here. When excited, when now, Jungkook, you think giving me here will make me love you again. He did not answer, simply looked at her. Behind you, you shook your head, tears of frustration rolling down your cheeks. I'm breaking. This is not how love works, Jungkook. You can't force me to stay. Jungkook finally turned to face you, his eyes filled with a strange mix of frantic and depression. Jungkook softly, I know, but I don't know how continuing from where we left off. Jungkook softly, I know, but I don't know how else to keep you. His words hit you like a punch to the gut. The man standing before you was a far cry from the confident, powerful figure you had once now. There was something broken about him now, something that frightened you more than his anger ever could. You took a shaky breath, wiping away your tears. So glad, as if he could not bear to face the truth in your words. For a moment, it seemed like he might actually let you go. But then his expression hardened again, and the brief, vulnerability in his eyes vanished. Jungkook firmly, you are not leaving me, not like this. You sighed in defeat, knowing that reasoning with him in this state was pointless. Your legs felt weak, and you slumped onto the couch, excited from the emotional roller coaster. Went softly, almost to yourself. Why do you always do this? Why can't you just let me breathe? Let me be free, Jungkook. Start of you. His eyes narrowing slightly, as if your words irritated him. Jungkook, angry, free. You want freedom, freedom to leave me, to forget about everything we have been through. You could feel his frustration bubbling over again, and you did not want to fan the flames, but you were try to being the one of always backed on, try to him always taking control. For once, you needed him to listen. When calmly and firmly, it's not about forgetting Jungkook, it's about healing. Every time you pull me back, you are hurting me more. I can't live like this. He paced the room, running his hand through his hair in frustration. The silence stretched thick with tension. Jungkook was quietly almost broken. I don't know how to lose you, and I don't know how to let you go. You close your eyes for a moment, trying to calm your racing heart. His words, while filled with pain, we are enough to change your mind. While whispering, sometimes Jungkook love means letting go. His head snapped towards you, anger flashing across his face. Jungkook coldly, no, not for me. Without another word, he stormed towards Aurora, slamming behind him as he left the room. The loud echo of the rose shutting reverberated through the empty house, leaving you alone with your thoughts. Hours passed and your mind seated on the couch, staring blankly at the walls. Your silence in the mansion was deafening. Every corner of this place was filled with memories, good ones, bad ones, and everything in between, but now it felt like a prison. You did not know how long you had been sitting there when the door finally creaked open again. Jungkook entered, his expression clamor, but still hard to read. He walked towards you slowly, as if he was not sure how to approach. Jungkook quietly, I ordered dinner. You should eat. You shook your head, emotionally drawing to respond when quietly, I'm not hungry. He stood there for a moment, looking down at you, and you could feel the weight of the star. Then, without warning, he crouched down in front of you. His fingers gently brushing your cheeks, Jungkook softly, and I don't want to hurt you. You know that, right? You saw your throat tight with emotion. You didn't want to feel and barely whispered, but you are, Jungkook, you are hurting me more than anyone ever has. His hand dropped from your face and he sat back off his heels, his expression clouded with guilt. For a long moment, neither of you spoke. Finally, he let out a heavy sigh, his voice filled with resignation. Jungkook, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make you stay. You stared out at him, torn between the love you still felt for him and the deep pain and had kissed you. How had things gotten to twist between the two of you? While singing wise broken Jungkook, you can't make me stay. I have to want to, and right now I don't know if I do. His face fell, and for the first time you saw real fear in his eyes, fear that you were slipping away for good. Jungkook was shaking. You don't mean that you can't? You stood up, stepping away from him as you tried to gather your thoughts. Why, Sophie, I mean in Jungkook, I can't keep doing this. I need time, I need space, and you have to let me have it. For a long time, he did not say anything. He just sat there staring at the floor as if he was trying to process what you had just said. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse. Jungkook, I don't want to lose you, Ryan. You felt a pang of guilt, but you knew you couldn't let that you went gently. Sometimes love is not enough, Jungkook. He looked up at you, his expression a mix of depression and sadness. You could see that he was struggling, torn between the man he wanted to be for you and the man he had become. Jungkook softly, if I give you space, you will come back. Your heart edged as you looked at him, not knowing how to answer. You are not even sure of the answer yourself. Why, Mister, I don't know. His shoulders slumped, and he nodded as if he had expected that. There was thick with unspoken emotion, and for the first time in a long time, you saw a flicker of vulnerability in Jungkook that made your heart break all over again. Jungkook softly, I will let you go if that's what you really want. Your breath caught in your throat. It was what you wanted, but hearing him say it out loud made it feel so much more real. You nodded, even though it felt like the hardest thing you had ever done, when tears in your eyes. Thank you, Jungkook. He stood up slowly, his gaze never leaving yours, as he walked toward the door, but just before he left, he turned to you one last time. Jungkook was barely above a whisper. I will wait for you, no matter how long it takes. And then he was gone, leaving you alone in the messy mansion that now felt even emptier than before. Days turned into weeks, and you found yourself back at your parents' house trying to piece your life back together. You had stayed true to your words, taking the space you needed, but a part of you still could not shake the feelings of longing that lingered whenever you thought of Jungkook. You had loved him once deeply, but sometimes love was not enough. Sometimes it was the very thing that tear you apart. One night, as you lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, you felt a strange sense of peace was over you. You had made your choice, and now, for the first time in a long time, you felt like you were in control of your own life. And no matter what happened next, you know one thing for sure, you were finally free.